Okay, I call the meeting open, I guess. Bear with me, it's my first time as a chairman, so I really trying to figure out how to run this meeting. Yes, roll call. Karen Adams.
Here.
Robert Bailey.
Here.
Lynn Hubbard. Autumn Hanson.
Here.
Matthew Ivy. Ian Thomas. I see you right there.
I'm here.
Okay, I have a quorum.
Are we supposed to be on video on Zoom or off video?
You can be on when you're. You can be on twice.
You can still be on. You can be on video if you like. Okay, first on the agenda. Okay, if you want unfinished business, new business, we have. We start with the account number 1024, public safety on page 107.
You want to come up to the front table, or how do you want us to present? Work best way.
I'm trying to figure out.
Because
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
there.
I'll just do some quick introductions. I'm LJ Fazar. I'm the town's police chief. This is James B. He's a captain. He did a lot of work on the budget, and I'm also got Deputy Chief Gates. So we're here to present you with our proposed budget. It's gone through some analysis, as you know, by the council as well as the town manager and finance director. But I'll kind of hit the highlights just so that you understand where our increases have come and kind of give you a little bit of insight. So our personnel costs, and that is the bulk of the department. You know, that is the salaries for our officers and overtime. That has a modest increase this year. I would tell you that's attributed mostly to pay raises, right? 2% pay increase. There is a contract in place for our collective bargaining unit for the police officers. Within the police union is also our 2 animal control officers. We have civilian staff that's part of the clerical unit of Grates, and then we have the dispatchers. So a few years ago, both the police and dispatcher merged into one agency. So we have oversight of both police and emergency dispatch, the Groton Communication Center. Prior to that time, they were 2 separate entities. And just for background, I know at the council meeting I was asked about some increases in our budget. Yes, our budget does increase, and it was characterized as a bit of a substantial increase, but a lot of that is attributed to the fact that the 2 were merged into one organization back 2018. So that attributes that. So this encompasses all the pay raises for each of our personnel, both sworn and unsworn. So the overall submission is for $9,522,086, and that's roughly a 2.8% increase. If you look down on our personnel costs, we've seen approximately $167,000 increase in personnel. There was also an additional amount of money that was put in there from last year for our new, what we call the social worker, but what is now called a public safety community outreach specialist. Basically, that was a position that the RTM council approved last year. The initial outlay of money was about $50,000 that was approved. After we did some analysis and did the job description, worked with human resources and some other entities, we came up with a different figure. It's a non-union position, and it was put in the non-union pay scale. And that's about a salary increase of about $15,000 over what it was last year. The bulk of our increase, though, comes in the operating budget, and that's roughly $197,000. Now, what does that mean? That is all of those things that we use to do our jobs. The bulk is the personnel costs, but the stuff that we use, equipments, in the military, you call the beans and bullets, right? All the stuff that makes the organization work. Our fleet is not part of this budget. That's in the public works budget, as is our facilities. Our benefits for our employees are in the human resources budget. But the stuff that we use every day, equipment, uniforms, stationery, everything that is used to do the job is in the operating budget. But where the big increases come with our requirements under the police accountability bill from 2020. This year, we are required to have both in-car cameras as well as body-worn cameras. In 2017, we went to body-worn cameras. It was optional at the time. We did it as an effort to be more transparent. We also found it to be something that allowed us to record things out in the field when our officers did something right, to use that as a training example, when they needed some improvement, to use that as a training example as well. But by and large, it's protected our officers. There have been several cases that our officers have been accused of doing something wrong in the field, or there have been complaints made against an officer, and we're able to use the recordings to either substantiate the claim or refute them. To date, this has refuted virtually all the claims against our officers. Yeah. So this has been a helpful tool. But in 2017, when we got these, there was a state grant available for 100% reimbursement to the town of Groton. So I sat in this room, I presented it to the town council. The town council approved it. We took advantage of that grant, and it paid for the first 5 years, a good portion of the first 5 years. It covered 100%. It covered the initial outlay in 2017. From that point forward, there were costs spread out over the 5-year contract with this company, Axon. I'm giving you just background to explain why this is a substantial increase. So we utilized that grant. A lot of the money the first year was paid for by the state of Connecticut, and from that point forward, the next 4 years, it was $38,000. That grant no longer exists because we utilized it. The town is on the hook for the whole amount of money. Captain B did some negotiating with our vendor, which is the same company, Axon, for the follow-on 5-year contract. In addition to these body cameras, we also get their cloud storage solution. So all of our videos from not just this, but a lot of other things that we record, like interviews inside the building, which is another state requirement that's been in place for many years. We have to record that, those interviews we do with suspects or interviews with witnesses. We can upload that onto the software that we use for this. And there's also redaction software that allows our officer, or I should say our clerical staff, to provide videos to both the court and in response to FOIA requests. We're able to utilize that software to redact certain pieces of information, blur people's faces that are innocent parties involved in something, take things out that aren't subject to disclosure. But the bulk of the increase is to fund this. Also, as part of the capital improvement project, we received funding last year to do the second half of this, which is the in-car cameras. That's not part of this same money. That was part of the capital improvement project, and you'll see that as a follow-up later on. But I presented the council and the RTM some data last year about expected costs of what it would look like for our response and our fielding of both equipment and requirements under the police accountability bill. And a lot of that falls right into this category of operation costs. Expenses have gone up because we now have to test officers that are going for recertification every 3 years. They're required to go for a urinalysis for controlled substances. And we also are required to do psychological testing on each officer every 5 years. Those are all costs that we absorb. In the past, we did psychological testing just for entry-level officers, and that's roughly about $900 to $800 or $900 to test a new person coming in. Now we have to do that follow-up every 5 years. A little bit less money, but it is a cost to the cities and towns. I told the council, and I'm sure my colleagues will say the same thing, there's a lot of unfunded mandates. Good things in the police accountability bill. There are things that I think we support and endorse, this being one of them, because we're ahead of the curve on this. But there are other things that the legislature deemed it important to do, and training, another one. I would so totally concur with that, additional use of force training. But all of the expenses, by and large, have been put on the cities and towns fund. So the increase you see on the operating budget really is a direct reflection of that. They're not nice to have things, they're mandates. They're things that we have to have. I'm sure there'll be questions about certain parts of our budget, but essentially what we put into this budget, I think, is pretty lean. All things considered, it's pretty lean, but it's to accomplish the tasks that we're required to do by law, but also to provide the services to the town that we come to expect. So that's kind of a little thumbnail sketch. I don't know, I'll ask Catherine or Becky if I'm missing anything. But I'm certainly happy to answer questions.
Anybody have any questions for the chief? Seeing none, is anybody need somebody to put a figure on the floor, on a motion for a figure or whatever? Yeah.
I'll move $9,522,086.
Bailey,
I'll second.
second.
Okay. Any discussion on the figure? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of $9,522,086, say aye.
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 All opposed?
Opposed, Thomas.
Okay.
Any extensions?
What's that?
Are there any extensions?
Any extensions? Okay, that figure passes.
Should be 410.
Huh?
410.
Yeah. While you're here, wants to go over the CIP projects, like manager up here.
Sure, they're pretty straightforward. One of them, F, which is the squad car body cameras, that is a follow-on to last year's allotment that we got from the RTM and the council for our for our squad car teams. When we got the body worn cameras, we made a conscious decision.
Hold on a second, Chief.
Sure.
I just want to get three on the same page
Yeah,
here.
page 238.
238. Yeah, 238. Okay.
So we made a conscious decision to go with the body cameras because it covered all of our officers. Each officer got one top to bottom. We had some older in-car cameras. Some of them were replaced. Some of them over time have broken and we didn't replace them. So we didn't have squad car cameras in every vehicle. But when this bill was passed, there was a requirement that not just body cameras were required, but the squad car cameras were. So again, I got to give credit to Captain B. He worked tirelessly. The same vendor, Axon, that we utilize for our body cameras. We've entered into a preliminary contract with them. We haven't signed it yet. We're waiting. I'm sorry, we did sign it last year because we had the money up front for last year's funding. So they haven't been put in the cars yet, but they're scheduled to be put in the third week of June. There's a requirement that you're supposed to have them done by July 1st. And this is the follow-up funding. This is the next part of the five-year funding that part of that capital improvement project. So that's the first one. You want me to go to the second?
I think we'll take them one at a time.
Okay, sure.
Here. Okay. I need figure put down for CIP F7.
766,000. Right?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, 66,000. Wait a second on that figure.
Bailey, second.
Okay. Any questions on this? Seeing none, all in favor of 66,000 for CIP F7?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it passes unanimously.
Did anyone abstain?
Huh?
Did anyone abstain?
Oh, sorry, anybody abstain?
Thomas didn't vote.
You can ask him to clarify this vote, just to make sure.
Representative Thomas, did you vote that line item?
Yeah, that's correct. I said aye. I'm in favor of cameras.
Okay. That line item passes 5-0-0. Next, we have 7J, police speed display devices, page 240.
This particular item came up, as you know, the town manager and myself serves as traffic authority for the town, and we often get inquiries and in some cases complaints from members of the public about speeding in certain areas, and we try to direct our enforcement efforts to those. Obviously, there's not a police officer on every road all the time to do that, but one of the effective ways of at least educating the public is to provide devices out there that detect speed, illuminate the speed, flash the speed signs. We've looked at a couple of those, and we've got one at the department that we've been using, but it's a trailered unit that we put, we take out there, we leave it out for a little while and try and move from place to place. So we're looking to purchase more detection devices. Basically, they're going to be solar powered, correct? And again, Captain B did the research on this. I don't know if you want to explain to them exactly what it is.
They're a temporary type sign that can be put in different locations that are solar powered. They also collect data, which helps us with speed studies for the streets as people ask for that information. It's a very useful tool, and it allows us to have mobility, put them around town, and obviously that doesn't take the place of an officer, but at least it gives us an idea of what the average speeds are on roads and off traffic on it.
And just to give you an example of the road that we're sitting on right now, Groton Long Point Road, last year we had a traffic authority, several traffic authority meetings that were attended by members of the community that live in this neighborhood, expressing concerns about speed. We do not govern this road, meaning the traffic authority, since this is a state road, Groton Long Point Road is a state road, we don't have the authority to change the speed limits on it or do anything as far as installing traffic control devices, things of that nature. However, speed detection devices, we can. We could put this here. I think it would be this is the prime location for it. There are some other places throughout town that would utilize it as well, but it's going to put the speed up there, it'll bring people's attention to it. And then the follow-up we would have from that is speed enforcement, meaning we put an officer out there. So people will be educated, they see that, and then we go out there and take enforcement action. So this is something that collectively myself and the town manager agree it's something that we could definitely use and support a lot of the concerns and interests of the public.
What we have is like too old, or
Well, we have one of them, and it's like it's more of a hand truck, right? It's kind of a trailer thing, but these are actually smaller signs that we can post out there. They're gonna have a solar device, they'll have illumination. We can use multiple ones throughout the town. They'll be there for a while. That one's more of just a temporary fix. We have used it, and we still will use it, but when I tell you every traffic authority meeting, we get complaints about different areas. We get complaints about different areas, and if we have multiple devices, we can put them out at several locations at once, and they are a useful tool.
and how many devices is this for?
I believe it's for free. I think there are 7,000 apiece. Is that right?
The 6 in here. Oh. Request for FY '23 are funded $21,000 for the purchase of 6 more PMD 12 solar 12-inch amber LED speed displays.
I'm sorry, I was under I thought there were 7 apiece, but I could be wrong. They might be half that. Yeah, I thought it was for 3.
Here, it says 6 here, okay. Yep, 6 now.
I don't have the quote in front of me. I'm sorry.
Any questions for the chief? Representative Thomas?
Yeah, it's not so much well, I guess the question would be, you said that we already had, that there is some equipment already, right? That is just getting a little older?
No, we have one, we use it regularly. It's functional. It's not exactly like these would be, but we use it quite frequently, and we have several requests throughout the year to put, virtually every meeting, we have different people asking for different locations. So if we had 10 of them, we'd use 10 of them. So this one, the one that we have won't go unused. This is to supplement that and be an additional series of assets we can put out in different locations in high traffic areas.
All right, understood. Yeah, it's just, with what's been going on with the budget, I mean, the last RTM meeting we had there, we were asked to look at things to try to trim up a little bit. So honestly, I'm looking at this, and this may be the more expendable item in the sense of that. So I'm probably gonna say no on this from my own vote. I'm not sure what other people are thinking, but I know that, talking with the town manager last week at the RTM meeting, he was asking us to look at all areas that might be able to be trimmed up. So, if this is not like a huge need, then I would say maybe we bump it to next year. Thank you.
Is the current one that we have, is that the only one that we've got?
As far as a need, I will tell you, it is, that is requested at every traffic board meeting. I think town managers might be able to speak to that as well.
Yeah, and part of it is you want to leave them out for a while because it does slow traffic down, and you leave it out for a while so that you train people to go slower in that area. And we have so many areas we're getting requests on. I would love to have at least a dozen of these. And they're pretty minuscule price.
Do you see that the?
It saves our
traffic
staff so that we don't have to have an officer out there all the time.
Do you see that it is a deterrent for speeders and that it keeps them slowed down for a longer period of time?
I would ask this, have you seen that?
Yes.
What did you think?
I slow down. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just human nature, right? Somebody's gonna get flashing up there. Sometimes there's, one of the more noteworthy ones in this region has been out in front of Con College as a result of a traffic accident that happened out there. They've got the red and blue lights. When people see that, yeah, they react to it because they say, oh, how fast am I going? They'll look at their speedometer, realize the speed limit is 35 and they're going 55 and they're slamming on the brakes. But yes, but the other component to this is there has to be enforcement, right? Otherwise people will grow desensitized. So you have to do some enforcement.
Right.
Okay, want to put the figure up? This item?
I'll move 21,000.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion
Bailey, second.
0.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
sorry. For a second right now on the first line item.
Bailey, second.
Okay. Okay, discussion?
I'd like to amend the number to 0.
Okay. Is there a second to that item? Seeing no second. I want to go back to the, any discussion on the first figure of $21,000? Okay, in a discussion there, all in favor, start by saying aye.
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 All opposed?
Opposed, Thomas?
Okay. Any abstentions? That figure passes 4 to 1 to 0. Thank you very much, Chief.
All right, thank you. Thank you for consideration.
Next, we got the city of Groton. Have you on page 175? Or center 10900.
Thank you.
Chief.
Good evening, Chairman Burrell and representatives of the Public Safety Committee. So I'll read you the letter that I sent to Town Manager John Burt with the budget, and then I'll let the chief walk you through the budget. So attached, please find a copy of the city's police budget for FY 2023. The overall police budget for FY 2023 has increased by 5.7% over last year's budget. The increase is driven by personnel costs and benefits. The city is once again requesting from the town of Groton the customary and traditional payment of 50% of the costs associated with providing public safety to our residents. The request of the town is calculated after the costs associated with the police chief have been subtracted. The FY 2023 funding request is $2,845,568. Also, we are also attaching for informational purposes a copy of the city's capital improvement plan for FY 2023 through FY 2028 as it relates to the police department. We look forward to meeting with you to discuss the budget. And the number of $2,845,568 was approved by the town council. And for those of you that have not seen the city's budget before, it is a loaded budget or a fully burdened budget, which means it contains all the costs associated with the operation of for the budget for the department. Most of the other budgets that you see are operation and maintenance budgets, and things like non-departmentals such as OPEB, workman's comp, pension, insurance, things like that are in a separate part of the town of Groton budget. So that's one of the differences in our budgets when you see this budget and then tomorrow when they see the highway budget. And with that, Chief, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for inviting us here to present the budget to you, the Public Safety Committee for review. Our agency, as the mayor was stating out, we have 29 sworn officers from the chief down to the newest recruit. We have one actually in the academy right now, and we have 2 openings that we're hoping to fill shortly. We have 4 certified dispatchers. We have 3.5 non-sworn support personnel, be it the clerks and the administrative assistant. We have 1 special traffic officer, and this year we picked up a school crossing guard because we now have a elementary school back in the city to go with our class at high school and our Sacred Heart School. So we picked up the school crossing guard to ensure the safety of the kids crossing the street to get to the school. As the mayor also stated, this budget is a fully loaded budget. He explained most of everything. Everything in our budget you will see is salaries, dispatch costs, even non-sworn officers costs. So everybody's in here. The vehicle costs, the vehicle maintenance, the fuel, all our training, all our benefits, insurance and pensions, to name a few. So basically, it's a full disclosure of all the costs associated with operating the police department. Now, the budget is, like the mayor said, 7.5 or 5.7, excuse me, 5.7 over last year's budget, and that is mostly driven, or significantly driven, by contractual obligations and pension and benefits, which is all in our budget. We have taken some mitigation attempts to lower the cost, and with that, we've used our own training officers, our own personnel to be certified instructors to train us in the required mandated classes that we must take. We're also an accredited agency that has been accredited since 2015. We are in our second reaccreditation process right now. So we've just had inspectors come in and look at our evidence room, our records, all our policies and everything, and make sure we meet the standards. We've had several different levels of reviews on this budget. I created it, the mayor looked at it, we readjusted it to make it even leaner. We then brought it back to the mayor, we went to the city council and the town council. So the budget that we have, I believe, is the one that is the leanest one that we could effectively create and do the job as the police department's missions and adhere to the requirements of accreditation and the police accountability bill. So with that, I will take any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Any questions? Seeing none, I need someone to move the figure. The $2,845,568.
Second.
I see somebody moving up. I don't do it.
Oh, okay. I'll move 2,845,568.
Okay.
Come on, really.
Second,
I'll second that.
okay.
He's falling down. Good job.
Oh,
Representative Thomas has his hand raised.
Yes, I see, Representative Thomas.
Thank you. Just wanted to be clear. So what was the amended number that was just put out there?
There is no amended number, just the figure. If we have the $2,845,568, the figure we have.
Okay, somebody else read, I must have missed something in transmission there. Somebody, I heard like a number read a second time. All right. All right, yeah, no questions at this time. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions on a figure?
Oh, actually, I do have another question. What did the town council pass for this?
So it
full
actually
amount.
passed this figure of $2,845,568.
All right, that is the same figure, all right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, see any more questions? All in favor of $2,845,568, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Opposed, Thomas?
Okay. Abstained? Abstentions? That line passes 4-1-0.
Thank you, Chairman
Thank you very
Burrell.
much.
Thank you, representatives. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Next, we'll have the Groton Law Point, item 091, please. Oh, that'd be 178.
Junior.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Public Safety Committee. My name is Charles Permiano. I'm the Vice President of the Groton Association. With me is Chief David Knowles of the Groton Association. We're here obviously to present a budget request to the Public Safety Committee of the RTM for $341,500 for fiscal year 2023. This represents a 3% increase over our budget for this piece of the budget for fiscal year 2022. It represents partial funding for 4 full-time officers, 5 part-time officers, including their support and equipment. And it includes all expenses for our public safety department. It represents a 2% increase in salaries and a 1% increase for mandates in the public safety regulatory arena. I will ask Chief Knowles to fill in some of the more particular detailed parts of the budget, please.
Good evening, everyone. Just so you know, my name's Dave Knowles. I've been in law enforcement. I just started my 38th year. The last 4 we brought in Long Point Police Department. Haven't seen so many changes in policing than I have in the last 2.5 years. And I think Chief Fusaro hit it right on the head with the mandates. So I'll get right into that. There are some control, there are some costs that I have no control over, and some I do. Costs that I have no control over being the percentage that the officers will get as far as an increase contractually, but also the accountability bill that was passed in 2020. Those costs are unfunded mandates, as you all know, and we have to incur those costs. As Chief Fusaro said, the psychological evaluations for an officer coming on, to which I just I'm bringing a part-timer on, is $900. Fortunately, the reoccurring costs that are built into the 20-1 accountability bill, those costs aren't so much, but nonetheless they are recurring, and each officer every 5 years will have to go through a psychological evaluation. So those are unfunded mandates that again, we have no control over. As far as the body cameras and as far as the in-car cameras, I followed suit with Groton Town simply because I know they used Axon Enterprises. So I did enter an agreement with Axon. And you have to remember one thing as far as administration. I am the administrator. I pretty much do everything there. So consequently, I secured the body cameras from Axon. We started training with them last week. You'll start to see us utilizing the same ones. What's nice about that is the interoperability body. I can go to Groton Town and ask for assistance with anything that I may need down in Groton Long Point as far as utilizing these cameras. We are on May 12th installing the in-car cameras. I had to buy mobile data terminals to work with the in-car cameras. So there's a lot that goes on. And it's really, we bring it back to the accountability bill. So consequently, you're looking at approximately a $10,500 increase or a 3% increase over what I asked for last year. And again, it comes down to funding the operations, funding the contractual obligations, and the increase due to the accountability bill. With that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions for the Chief, Police Chief? I need somebody to figure.
I'll move $341,500.
Do I have a second on that?
Having a hard time hearing you.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any questions on the figure?
Yes, please.
Oh, yes, Representative Bailey?
Yes. Could you restate that figure again, please?
Yeah, that would be $341,500.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the figure of $341,500, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Opposed?
Opposed, Thomas.
Okay. Any abstentions? That figure passes. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you. Next, I got considerations for committee referral items. I don't see anything. I just need a motion. for
Motion
adjournment.
to adjourn. Come on, Bailey, say
Come
something.
on, we need a second.
Bailey, second.
Okay.
We're adjourned.
Those
Thank
adjourned.
you all.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain, Thomas.
Was that?
Uh,
Thomas
I'm abstaining on that. Thank you.
abstaining, okay?
All right, thank you. I'm going to end the meeting.
Thank you very much for showing up.